All right, we are live. All right, welcome, ladies and gentlemen. This is Wolf King, and today we're going to be discussing G-Man and the Science Illiteracy of the CCP. Now, I know this is like picking low-hanging fruit, and this has been reiterated several times, but G-Man is completely inept when it comes to understanding science. Just yesterday, Dragnot had a hangout on his channel about this about basically Dragnot versus Creationism and Friends. And G-Man appeared as he was going over his video about macro evolution or speciation, basically, and trying to challenge scientist Sam. And he appeared in the Hangout, which I was trying to get into, but I was blocked because he's a little bitch. But yeah, that aside, um, I'm just gonna I'm just gonna play his sort of response video to that, and first play the and no, not first, second play the clip where he was in the Hangout with Drag. Them, hold on. Where is it? There we go.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to another edition of Preaching to the Choir Ministries. And today, I want to talk about the Google Hangout that I participated in yesterday, where it was a Dragnet versus creationism. And in this Google Hangout, I went in there with my same question that I was asking about the videos I made on this channel. That was that, a lot of these atheists like to say that evolution doesn't teach that a dog will ever become a non-dog. However, we are supposedly related to dogs. We're related to orangutans, or we're related to like all these different animals out there. Most of I'm trying to be funny when I make them jokes, but the fact is they do believe that that we're related to these things. But they keep arguing that a dog will never, ever, ever, ever cease from being a non-dog. And it makes me wonder, then if a dog is never going to be a non-dog, then how can I be related to a dog? See, if you look at my family tree, the only thing that you're ever going to see is human beings.
Okay, well, first, a dog is never gonna become a non-dog in the sense that a dog is a descendant of a non-dog. Okay, like if you go back in the dog's particular lineage, it descends from the wolf, but with artificial selection by human beings, it diverged and became many breeds of different dogs. So you're wrong and you're kind of a jackass for that, but mainly, the reason how we understand that things are related to one another is because of fossils, DNA, homologous structures. In fact, they actually go through a couple of these concepts with you, these lines of evidence, and you sort of, act the similar way you do. In fact, let's get this clip because this isn't about G-Man. I'm not making this video with the intention of him, seeing the light that is the scientific inquiry and hoping that he probably gets out of his science literacy. No, this motherfucker is set in that. He's set in stone with that. So let's just play this particular video and I'll expound upon that.
Yeah, the only thing I was saying is that now I want to preference what I said here. That there are some atheists, and Craig, you happen to be one of them. Well, you're not an atheist, but you're a secularist that believe that dogs will never become non-dogs. That dogs are always going to be dogs, and that you say that that's macroevolution. When I say that that's microevolution, and I know you're going to disagree with me in a minute, but that's not the kind of evolution that you guys talk about here online. When you start talking about how we're all related to these different animals and species and whatnot. Now, if I'm wrong, if you can respectfully show me why I'm wrong, I'm all ears. I don't even know where to go with that.
I mean, like the whole macro thing, which is a very old beat down argument, is basically just a matter of semantics. It's basically saying you could walk from your bedroom to the kitchen, but you can't walk from I don't know, like Oakland to LA or something like that. So yeah.
To be honest with you, I think the real question is, whatever you think it is, can you show us what reference you're using?
Okay. You guys do say is that human beings and other animals are all related to a common ancestor, right?
Yeah, but I'm asking, what reference do you have that a population of dogs will speciate into non-dogs? What reference in any textbook?
Well, I don't think that the population of the speciation of dogs is not the question. The question is, am I related to a dog? That's the whole point of the.
I'm actually going to skip parts of this just because, you know, it's just them inquiring and him just giving gibberish answers.
Argument. If the dogs don't become non-dogs over trillions of years or billions of years, then you don't got an argument that I'm related to a dog. Do you understand that?
What do you mean by non-dog?
Something that is not a canine. You do know what a non-apple is, right? That would be an orange or a banana. They're not apples.
Well, canine is not the same as a dog, but the idea when people say that you never get a non-dog is it's like a family tree, right? Like if we stretch back my ancestors, 6 generations or something, they're always going to be my ancestors, right? So dogs and whatever would split off from dogs would always have the same ancestor.
And that's my problem. You're not answering my question. Let me tell you why.
How was I not answering your question?
If you're saying that a dog will never become a non-dog, right? A dog is always going to be a dog. How am I related to a dog? I'm a human being. I am not a dog. You're killing your argument every time you open your mouth. Go ahead.
Yeah, apparently this dumb motherfucker don't know what a mammal is, but okay.
Common
Hey,
ancestry.
Steve, I don't think that that's helpful. Just because it doesn't hurt doesn't mean it's helpful. I could jerk off and film it. That's not going to help this. So,
jerking off is not a respectable answer for what I'm asking. I'm asking
I'm talking. That was
like if you were teaching a class, you say that for a bunch of students.
He was talking to
Jesus.
G-Man.
G-Man, he was talking to me.
Yeah, I was not talking to you. Not everything is
But
about
I'm
you.
trying to learn here. And
G-Man.
you guys are horrible teachers.
G-Man.
I need to go for a tour in Paris, and maybe you can teach me something because you guys don't take the.
Yeah. So he starts jabbering on like a child, and it sort of becomes a shit show almost instantly.
Don't take nothing seriously.
Well, G-Man, if you acted the way that you're acting now, I would just throw you out of the lecture hall. To be honest.
Oh, you would?
Yeah.
So jerking off is the answer to my question.
No, it was. I wasn't talking to you when I said that, G-Man.
Okay, so answer my question. How am I related
Stop
to you?
interrupting me.
You know what, man? Listen, there's a museum not that far from here. I'm sure I can find somebody there who can answer my
Stop
question.
interrupting.
I'm trying to be serious with you, bro. You can't be serious.
I tried
I'm not even going to
answer, but
you answering like that.
G-Man, I was not talking to you. I was talking to Steve. I would hope that even if you don't have an education in science, you know how to socially interact with people.
I know how to socially interact.
So,
I don't think you have an education in science because I don't think you know how to answer my question. I would rather talk to Dragnot if you don't mind.
Dragnot has a copy of a chapter in a textbook that I co-authored. So
let me tell you,
I mean, it almost instantly becomes a shit fest because he feels like, I mean, he's in full G-Man mode. So, I mean, I'm not surprised that beyond this moment, he becomes incoherent and starts jabbering on to his fellow interlocutors with no intention of actually trying to learn something from them or trying to be informed by anything they have to say. Anyway.
You need to let me answer instead of interrupting me every 2 seconds. If you're wondering why I don't want to debate you, it's because this is how you behave. Okay, so why do we know that you asked a completely different question? Why do we know that humans and dogs are related? Well, the same basic science that goes into the algorithms that determine how genetically related we are to dogs. It's the same basic science behind a paternity test, because we can look at the molecular patterns and we can infer that we have a certain amount of relatedness and a certain pattern of
Does this motherfucker know how to use the mute button? Like, geez, all that feedback.
Relatedness. That second part is very
like never mind the goofy faces he makes in the camera. The feedback is just so irritating.
Algorithms is your answer?
Steve, I'll defer to you.
I don't.
He caught only one word. Like he missed the fact that it's about the genetic material and the DNA testing that sort of determines this. Like, holy shit.
I hear one thing from Sam, then I hear something else from G-Man that's not even tangentially related.
Okay, so how am I related to a dog? I mean, how many times I need to ask the same question?
Okay, so do you want to go with anatomical features, or what? I think that the issue is, G-Man, that when you start talking the Kent Hovind speak, you start talking about a kind, and when we're talking about taxonomy and how things are interrelated, a kind does not fit in there. I think maybe we could.
I'm not talking about kinds. I'm asking a fair question. You said,
okay,
and I
so
quote, that dogs will never become non-dogs. So they're always dogs. We know that they evolved from gray wolves. I'm not even going to get technical with you. So you're saying that dogs can become non-dogs. We know that an intelligence guided the staff and whatnot, right? Now, if you're saying that canines are always going to be canines, and I'm a human being and I'm not a canine, how am I related to them?
We all have a ancestor, all right? There's an ancestor that had a backbone. This ancestor that had a backbone also had a variety of other traits. This ancestor branched off into different species. Some of them became dogs, some of them became hominidae. That's what we're referring to.
Thank you, Dragna. I appreciate that. What ancestor was it? What was it called?
Tiktaalik.
Okay, can you show me a picture of it and how you know this Tiktaalik actually existed, please?
We showed you when we were at the museum.
Show me what you showed me at the museum. I'm sure you got the picture.
I mean, that's very telling. Like they took him to a place, like to a museum, so he could learn this stuff, this basic shit, and you know, it just flowed right off. It's like it was in one ear and out the other. That's amazing. He lives in a first world civilization where he could get all the available information that he desires on hand, and he sticks his head in the sand. That this is G-Man. That this is thought process.
I can't pull up on my phone in the Hangout.
Google it and let me see it. So I can get it because I can't remember it.
Okay, hold on. I'll get a picture of Tiktaalik. I'm curious.
Hold on a minute. Try not to get hit by a car. Hold on.
Yeah, that is important. So when we talk about this thing, we've actually mentioned this and showed this to you before. Let me see. Okay, can you see my screen?
Oh yeah. Let me stop.
Okay. Can you? I found the skeleton, and then it's an artist rendition next to it of Tiktaalik.
That was like a fish.
It's not technically a fish, just because it's in
like
the water. It has the ability to go in the water, but not all.
How did it live? What was it? How did it live? What was it?
It lived by consuming food.
Like what? Like how did it live? Did it crawl? Did it walk? Did it?
Oh, it doesn't crawl.
What was it?
It lived on shorelines.
It lived on shorelines. So what else do we know about it? Because if actually about turtles, you'll be able to give me a whole documentary about that.
Well, you also have to realize, G-Man, that we're talking about something 400 million years ago. We don't have the exact.
No, evolution is a fact. Everybody knows it's true. I'm the only dummy that don't think it's true. So tell me what this animal does.
We also know that it could probably something like crawl because it had an articulated shoulder, just like primitive amphibians. But it could probably also, does it have gill slits, Drag? I don't recall, but I believe it could. It had lungs. I know that.
Yeah, I think it looks like it does have gill slits, but I'm not sure if they've like fused together, because I see the ridges, but it's hard to tell with this image.
Wikipedia says they have a small gill slit, not a spherical.
Scientists believe that we evolved. We didn't evolve, but one of our ancestors was this Tiktaalik, right? Is that what you're saying?
Something like it. Something that, like, what scientists say, and this is a really subtle point, is that we are cousins with this thing. So at that time period, something like that was our common ancestor. We don't know exactly what, right? And this is because all of life is just distant cousins.
All of our life is distant cousins.
Yeah, and I bet that concept of species being distantly related to each other after certain speciation events, that concept that completely flies over G-Man's head. Like that simple thing that just like these species begat other species that over time split off and diverged to the point that they can't reproduce with their ancestors or cousins. But this easy thing is something that this guy doesn't comprehend.
Okay, so let's stick with the Tiktaalik, because I want to make sure I understand what you're saying with this. The Tiktaalik, I'm assuming some small changes over billions of years. You know, we get the Neanderthals, we get the 8 white creatures, and then we get humans, right? Just to save us some time on that, right? So, we don't know nothing about these Tiktaalik. Why do you guys believe you evolved that one of your ancestors, came from the Tiktaalik?
Because it has the exact type of characteristics that we would expect of an organism at that time, transitioning between being among the group of fish to tetrapods, which is 4-legged creatures that walk on land, with that body plan. It's a transitional form. It has characteristics of both.
Okay, let me ask you a fair question, Sam. You barely know anything about this animal, so how do you figure that you evolved from it?
Because we know that, I didn't say that we evolved from the exact animal, but something like it. Based on the differences between fish and amphibians, or more precisely tetrapods, which are 4-legged creatures.
Okay, this animal, what kind of animal was it? Was it a marine animal? Was it a I don't know, a land animal? Was it a bird? Like, what kind of animal was it?
Well, I mean, we can see that it's not a bird from that skeleton, but like I said, it probably waded on, on the shore, and sometimes, made a habitat both in the shore, in the water, and in.
Let's just see what the Tiktaalik was specifically. Possibility of evolutionary transition from fish to amphibian, so it was amphibious. But yeah, like just as Sam said, it was a transitional form. It and similar animals maybe possibly be the common ancestors of broad swath of all vertebrate terrestrial fauna, amphibians, reptiles, birds, and mammals. So, yeah.
The land region, and we base that off of where we find it and based upon its characteristics.
Okay, so you can appreciate my skepticism when I say that, okay, let's just say hypothetically speaking, I hypothetically agree that we evolved from this, whatever this animal is called. I forgot what, Teknotod or whatever you call it or whatever.
Tiktaalik.
A Tiktaalik. Okay, cool. We barely know anything about it. So why do you put so much confidence in the fact that you evolved from this thing?
Well, for several reasons. Firstly, it has the exact predicted set of characteristics that we would find between a tetrapod and a fish. It perfectly represents that transition. And again, I don't want to say that we necessarily descended from Tiktaalik. We share a common ancestor with it. But also, it happened at the exact week.
This is where I come in with my sock because this bitch has me blocked.
Found the fossil at the exact predicted time, right? There was a time period where we can estimate using molecular as well as fossil evidence. We can say, okay, it seems likely that the transition happened at this time, so we should find at this time this type of fossil to represent that transition. The Tiktaalik perfectly fits that prediction. It's a very elegantly made prediction.
Okay. So you're saying that this animal, this land animal, it could be a land and a sea animal at the same time. I'm assuming it lived in the water. It came out the water.
Yeah, the word is amphibious, genius.
How did the evolutionary process go with it?
What do you mean by that?
What were the steps of the evolutionary process? What were some of the small changes that happened before it became? I don't even know what the heck that animal is. Before it became a different animal, like what were the steps it went through?
Well, there's a variety. I mean, I can't remember off the top of my head, but I remember that quite a few people have actually looked at how the different structures became more and more articulated until they were this transition. But basically what you have is you have the formation of something like the shoulder girdle, right? Fish don't have shoulders. You also have the development of lungs, which we know, that can happen because we have things like lungfish, and the development and beginning of articulation of the formation of, the paws, or in our case, hands. We know what pathways govern those. So there's a lot of, there's a huge and rich.
I mean, it would have been nice for G-Man if he would just sat the fuck down and actually listen. It's cute the way he's putting it up to his ear, but yeah.
Fossil record regarding this exact transition, but I'm on my
Unfortunately, it's in one ear and out the other orifice.
phone. I can't say that. This is off the top of my head.
No, I appreciate that. I'm on my phone too. But again, it goes back to my argument that I made, and I'll be quiet in a minute and let you guys go. But it goes back to what I said on my YouTube channel. If a dog can't become a non-dog, then why did this animal become a whatever the heck it was? Because we still haven't even classified what the animal is.
Like the other track changes, right?
It didn't. But it never became something that it wasn't. I think there's a fundamental gap here in sort of the logic behind evolution, and it's a really subtle form of logic. So I'm going to try to explain it. But what we're talking about is a family tree, right? We're not talking about, as Drag likes to say, Pokemon evolution. We're talking about things where along a certain line, right? We know this in families, that along certain lines, when it diverged from that basic structure with its precursors. And so you have to kind of contextualize it from that angle. Does that make sense?
Okay, so let's do that then. Yeah, let's do it. Let's do that then. Okay, so we don't know what this animal was, whether or not it was what it officially was, what classification it put it in. But we know it had a vertebrae and all these other things, like you said, and whatnot, right?
No, we do know the classification. I'm sorry to interrupt, but we do know the classification.
And what's the classification?
Again, I'm on my phone. I don't know off the
It's
top of my head.
Sarcopterygian.
Oh, what?
Sarcopterygian.
Well, what's that?
Sarcopterygian is the
Lobefin fish.
yes, the lobefin fish, coelacanths,
Oh, the fish.
coelacanths, lungfish, any tetrapods, humans, all came from the Sarcopterygians.
Okay, so it's a fish then.
Yes, it's a fish. It's a lobefin fish.
Did it breathe underwater, or was it like a whale and breathe air and oxygen at the same time?
A whale isn't a fish, G-Man.
Lol, okay, like 2143. Yeah, G-Man thinks a whale and a fish are the same thing. Him and that fucking Bible biology bullshit. Lovely.
That's what I'm asking you. Is it like a whale? Yes or no?
No, whales are
Whales are mammals.
So it breathes underwater then, right?
It's a fish in the same way that we are fish.
Well, that's the thing, and that presupposes evolution is true. See, that ain't gonna work. You can't do that.
No, it
You can't
actually
say that with
doesn't.
fish without first proving. Wait a minute, hold on a minute. You can't prove that with fish. So you can't make a claim that with fish without proving that first.
The
You understand what
original.
I'm saying? I'm listening to what you got to say, but if you're gonna call me a fish, bro, you got to be able to prove to me I'm a fish. I don't breathe underwater. I don't swim underwater. And if a whale and a fish are two different things,
Yeah, he's about to go full G-Man amen now.
then a human being and a fish are a different thing. So
Fuck that, make it a second.
how am I a fish and a human at the same time? Curious.
Well, you are differentiating between something that's our common ancestor and something that is a current fish. Again, G-Man, you have to talk about this in the context of a family tree. Like as
I'm
Steve
talking about this
said,
in the context of a family tree. I'm trying to understand how I came from a fish.
I did not finish.
Evolutionary process. You
G-Man,
don't believe a dog
G-Man.
became a non-dog. Remember that now.
Well, you
A
haven't
dog
listened
can never become a non-dog.
You
telling me a fish
have,
can become a
G-Man, you
non-fish.
have to you can't stop me in
breathe,
the middle of
G-man.
you
gotta let him
can't
finish.
stop me in the middle of making my point. So as I was saying, and what Steve, if you listen to what Steve said, and I don't think you did, the thing that he highlighted is that it's a specific branch that branched off of other fishes, and then eventually became all land animals, all tetrapods, etc., etc.
There's a fantastic book on this called Your Inner Fish by Neil Shubin of University of Chicago, and he was the person who discovered the Tiktaalik fossil. And the reason he says it is because of our evolutionary history, we are still fish. The same pathway that allows fish using their inner ears to navigate is the same reason that when you get hung over, is the same reason that you get really dizzy when you're hung over. It's the exact same pathway, remarkably. And so what's being said here is not necessarily that humans have branched off and become what we now call fish, but that we share a common ancestor with them.
Okay, so that was a careful bit of nuance with just a better clarification of it. Evolution isn't a ladder; it's a tree. These things branch out, transition, diversify, all that. So let's see how that was filtered to the mind of G-Man.
You told me to look at this like it's a family tree, right? Well,
Yes.
I actually do have a family tree, but all of them happen to be human. You're telling me to look at this from an evolutionary standpoint. At the beginning of this conversation, I wanted to know how a dog, I was saying that macroevolution, at least in the video I said that a dog, you guys claim a dog will never become a non-dog. That it's always going to be a type of dog, right? So I'm assuming that if it becomes a rabbit or something like that sometime in the future, you're going to say that rabbit is still a dog. Is that what you're trying to say?
No, we would say that it wouldn't be, that would violate evolution.
Oh, then why am I still a fish?
Because I just explained you share a common ancestor with a fish, so there are aspects of you that still share those characteristics.
Wait, but dogs share a common ancestor with a fish too. So why aren't we calling dogs fish?
Because we refer to things by their most recent divergence.
Well, by their kinds?
No, not by their kinds. Kind is not a scientific term. No one uses that.
Oh, it's not a scientific term?
No.
If I call a rabbit a rabbit, it's not a scientific term?
No, that's actually not the scientific term for a rabbit.
I have a question. How is kind useful in that description?
Well, he's trying to make the argument that a dog will never become a non-dog. But now he's trying to make the argument to me how a fish and a human are the same thing to get away from the idea.
Fish and human are the same thing. This motherfucker has like no attention span whatsoever. Like it is literally anytime he puts it up to his ear, I swear it is filtered at one orifice, not another one. Like namely the back end, the other side.
That a fish has to become a non-fish. There is a clear difference between a fish and a.
It's like he has no understanding of like a grandparent or something like that.
Human being.
We didn't say it was the
That's
same
not
thing.
scientific. That's not even science. Who in their right mind would sit there and say a human being is a fish?
So have you ever seen an embryo?
And try to breathe on the water and
I didn't say that we were fish.
Oh God.
How did the thing that fish and humans were the same thing? You have a misunderstanding right there. That's
I don't have a misunderstanding.
Hold on for a second. G-Man, have you ever seen a picture of an embryo? A human embryo. Have you ever seen a picture of one?
Yes. Telling about the baby when it's only like a couple of weeks old, right?
Yes. Have you ever noticed where the neck is supposed to be? You ever looked at it?
I'll be the first one to admit that an embryo, even though I was called a human being and a baby, don't really look like a human being. But then again, it's not fully formed in the mother's womb either.
Have you noticed that they have gills?
That's debatable.
No, they have gills.
They have the precursors to gills.
Gills.
Yeah, more precise.
Considering that they're there in their mother's womb and they got to depend on getting their food in their mother's womb, I would say that they have to breathe a little bit differently than us.
No, they don't.
But
They don't actually.
But at some point, the baby does come out, and when he comes out, he smack his butt. He breathes like a normal person.
Dumbass.
That's not.
They don't assume the baby was breathing somehow when he was in.
Like at this point he won't shut the hell up. He like full G-Man now. Like, well, I gotta stop them. I gotta keep running my mouth so they don't get none of them facts out. They scary. Ugh.
Oh, no, babies don't breathe. I might want to change that. Babies
Some dumb ninja shit.
don't breathe in the womb, G-Man.
So So how do they survive? How do they
The
get
woman,
The umbilical cord.
the women.
Oh, the umbilical cord. So how does the umbilical cord work?
Well, okay.
Hey man, you need to slow down so that people can.
No, I'm trying to stay on topic, bro. You guys tell me
Well,
how
I
a dog
am
can
staying
become a
on
non-dog, but telling me how a fish can become a non-fish.
G-Man,
Yeah, it's
ask the
contradictory.
question. G-Man, stop going all hype and try
I'm
to
not
calm
going-
down.
I'm on my bike out here. I'm breathing
Calm
hard.
down.
I'm on my
Calm
bike.
down. Calm down.
Calm
Okay,
down.
then Mike can listen.
So,
I'm not upset. If you're gonna keep saying that, you're gonna be talking to yourself in a minute. All right?
okay, that's
I'm
fine.
trying to explain to you. I'm on a bike. I'm going uphill, and I want to make sure that you can hear me.
Calm down.
We
We can hear you.
We can hear you.
We can hear you. Calm down. Sam, go
She
ahead.
said that a dog will never become a non-dog.
G-Man, you need to stop talking if you're going to have people answer your question.
Okay,
So,
for those of you who don't know, I'm outside.
you need to
There's
stop
traffic out here,
talking.
and I'm outside.
G-Man, we know you're outside. Okay, G-Man, we know.
Unathletic
We know.
people here don't understand that. So,
G-Man, okay, thank you. You have to stop talking. It's not the issue of you breathing. It's not the issue of you panting. It's the fact because you have not, G-Man, you have not stopped.
Like this is where I'm actually about to end it right here, but yeah.
Talking in the last 5 minutes.
Listen here, if you guys want to play make believe, I can start trolling you guys if you want.
You know what?
I'm gonna start trolling you.
What is the point of interacting
Okay.
with this moron?
I know. Come on now. That's like,
I'm gonna start trolling you.
What is the point of interacting
Okay.
with this moron?
I know. Come on now. That's like, I gave him a chance. Like, that's just stupid. Okay, so.
How do babies breathe? Are you fucking kidding me?
Jesus Christ,
How
they
did-
don't breathe, you dumbass.
How many times
Like,
have we recommended to him go read like you're in a fish? How many
Like,
times
he's been recommended that for years. Literally,
Yeah, I'm
years,
sure.
Years. Oh, yes.
I was send him the PDF. I have the PDF. You can go find it. It's not that long of a book even.
Or you could not be a cheap bastard and actually support the publishing
Boss. No concept of figurative language.
that defined what I was trying to articulate was the idea that, and this key intuition that, it's not that, we still are fish. We still carry those basal characteristics, though, right? Like we still have the things that defined our earlier ancestors. We just have other things as well.
I don't think he understands nuance, though.
No, he does not. I can tell you by talking to him, and Red can back me up, he has no concept of nuance, no concept of figurative language, literal. Like he takes everything literally. And that was part of the issue with trying to teach him anything, because he has like a notion in his head and he'll just latch onto it like a pit bull. So what you have to do is
Yeah, I would actually agree with Dragnon that he has really no understanding of nuance whatsoever. In fact, I actually liken it to an analogy. It's like, okay. So G-Man is basically the kind of student, right? G-Man is the kind of student that he has this way of acting out, right, against the lesson, to the point that, this problem student goes to various different teachers, learns the same subject, and still fucks up when it comes to grasping the concept. Now, you can't whine in the corner that you're just not getting the concept when you've been to several different teachers, learn the same subject, and you haven't grasped the simple concept of it yet. I mean, this is analogous to, if not fucking full on homologous to G-Man's interaction with various scientists or science literate individuals online who've given him years worth of knowledge and information on this stuff, on evolution and on cosmology, on these different fields of science, and he just hasn't grasped any worth of that knowledge or wisdom yet, or data at the slightest over the past few years. He should have gotten like a degree by now with all this fucking knowledge. But he's literally so woefully ignorant that he can't listen. He can't sit the fuck down and listen and actually understand any of the stuff that he thinks he's criticized on. There was a scientist. There was a famous scientist that made this quote that I think is really tied to this situation we have in our society now. Ignorance more frequently begets confidence than it does knowledge. You know who said that? Charles Darwin. And I think it sort of it's sort of a clear message and lesson to the people of the CCP. This issue of science illiteracy, basically, and in a G-Man's case, no one can tell me shit about anything. It's really troubling. It's really troubling because what that kind of thought does, it undermines critical thinking. It undermines skepticism. It undermines logic. It undermines everything that helps make our civilization the first world society that it is, the technically advanced society that is that has vaccines, that has DNA technology measuring genetic illnesses that pass down through generations, that deals with climate change and focuses on improving green technology. Those kind of applications. It produces troglodytes, idiocracy that basically that brings us to troglodytes like these fuckwits run around acting like they know something, that they're self-taught geniuses by virtue of some revelation by some magic man in the fucking sky. It's just lunacy. And I feel like that thought more so has gotten even worse with the Trump administration and these war on facts, so to speak. I think we actually need to focus more on basically pushing these values more in the public sphere, pushing the values of critical thinking, of searching for empiricism, of actual logic, for rationale, things that actually can make our society great, as opposed to fucking like indulging in our own ignorances and biases like what you saw with old Gary there. I mean, at least that's why I'm on here. At least that's why I have a channel, so I could talk about these things and promote them. Because I don't really see any advancement from that school of thought there. I really don't. I think we should actually try to get somewhere in society where we could actually promote science and education for everyone, and we should stop trying to let things like dogma, religious texts, propaganda, or any of these things sway public opinion or thought, because we rely on this stuff. We rely on these values in order to make informed decisions that impact society as a whole. All right, if we can't be skeptical of what's going on in our world, or who's in authority and what policy is being implemented, then we're up for grabs. All right. Friggin' Carl Sagan friggin' foretold of this, and I think it's being tested at the seams right now. And it's an individual thing. We all gotta pitch in and do our part. We can't just march for this stuff. We can't just sign petitions. We actually have to go out there and fight in order to ensure that the intellectual worth that is the zeitgeist of our nation is maintained for the sake of the future. I don't want people like more dumb fucks like G-Man running around. I mean, if G-Man wants to stay ignorant in his fucking ways, let him do it. I mean, like let him sell appliances the rest of his life. I really don't give a damn. That's his choice. I want to impact the generation with this wisdom and with these values, so that we might have a future to contemplate this on. But that's my 2 cents on it. That's my conclusion that I've led to. So yeah, that's my that's my little rant there. Anyway, this is my video, G-Man and the Science Illiteracy of the CCP. Peace out. If you like this video, you know what to do. And just one more thing. Whenever I said sape aude, it literally is the Latin translation for dare to know, and scientia potentia est, knowledge is power. That is the Enlightenment view that I hold, and I feel it is only when we actually go back to those true values and lessons of wisdom that we actually have the potential to learn as human beings and contemplate a future for our species. You know, when in like an age of reason-esque type of thought. But yeah, anyway, that's my view. Hail Satan. If you like this video, you know what to do. And peace out. Later.